We are live. Welcome back. I have so many waters because yesterday's live, I was so thirsty. I have learned my lesson. A cup of ice. Shout out to those that eat ice in as a habit. It's a habit of mine. I like chewing on ice. What does that have to do with work? Well, I don't know. Just a habit of mine. But welcome back. Another day in the life of a real estate transaction coordinator working from home. Here to answer your questions, here to spend the rest of, the next at least hour or so online answering any questions. I'm going to get some work done. I also want to talk about the podcast I just released on Monday. I had a thought about it that I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a part two because there's a couple other things that came to mind, but one in particular was, and we'll just jump straight into it, was so the title is The Keys to a Productive Monday, meaning, when you dread coming into the new week or you're struggling to stay focused throughout the week because you're just over it or overwhelmed. And sometimes it's the smallest, subtlest fixes, like changing your alarm alert. So I was just making lunch. I was just eating lunch, but and it was tuna pasta. But for my pasta, I was setting my alarms like, okay, 2 minutes, I'll dump the water. And then another alarm went off like back to back after my pasta alarm for this YouTube live. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, maybe I would I would be less resistant to starting my work day, considering everything I mentioned in that podcast, but also I think I'd be less resistant if I changed my alarm sound or got an actual alarm, changing it that way. So I thought about that and I was like, I wonder if who else out there is, just looking for different ways to change the dynamics of our day so they're less and more yay. But excuse me. I drank that water way too fast. Almost choked on live. But if you're in here, let me know where you're from, what your name is, if you have any questions, or if you have any topics you want me to discuss, or if you want to celebrate some wins. I think that's always important. I'm just going to fix my desktop real quick so I can have you guys on my other monitor so I'm not looking up the entire time. Okay, there we go. Much better, much better. But shout out to everyone that was in the live yesterday. Again, we're going to be doing this every Monday and Tuesday here on YouTube at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So add that to your calendar right now. We can work together. You can bring your questions. If you are wanting to celebrate some of your wins, we can do it all. I'm trying to see if I need anything else situated at the moment. I think I'm going to turn my ring light on. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I need more light. I'm going to open my window because it's really hot in here. So you guys might hear some outside noises. Oh, damn it, a fly. As soon as I opened my window, a hole got into my the net for my window. Not the net, the whatever it's called, the shield for your window to keep flies out. And there's a hole. I keep forgetting that I need to patch up. And you saw what happened. A fly just flew in the midst of me trying to get some fresh air. Okay, so what did I have to do today that I can share with you guys? So I had 2 new listings that I'm working on. I spoke to the realtor yesterday about them because what's been happening lately, and if you're a transaction coordinator or you work in real estate, let me know if you can relate, but Oh, I hope you can hear. I hope you were able to hear me. My mic was way over there. But basically, a lot of listings, especially condos here in San Francisco, are not selling, or they're selling for way less than what people are asking, the sellers are asking for. And a couple instances we had, and because cancellations are not that common in San Francisco, we all know, especially during, I would say, the last five or so plus years. Well, I guess you wouldn't want to really count the pandemic, but I would say the years prior to that, condos were hot, and to me, the city is thriving more than it ever has. Like, especially in my see, alarms and alerts. I'm already sick of hearing that alert because it's connected to every reminder that I have in my phone. And I'll be focused just like now, and then that'll go off and I will easily get triggered. So maybe you need to change your alerts. And I'm talking to myself in that instance. But going back, um, cancellations. So I received 2 new listings from a realtor, and I've definitely had more listings lately than I have sales, which which is why I don't say I don't have any business. It's just the business that I have sits for a long period of time, but when it does close and it does hit, it's so helpful. But I'm sitting on these transactions for months on end, and unfortunately in the last I'd say 6 months, a lot of the transactions that I've worked on have fallen out of escrow. And that's terrifying, especially when you are relying on that money, you are relying on it closing, and you get to the finish line and you start to notice, okay, how come we haven't closed? One day goes by, fine, that's normal. The weekend goes by, somewhat normal. Then a whole week goes by, you haven't heard from anyone, no one has an update, there hasn't been an extension in writing. Now you're starting to get a little worried, right? So you let the agents do their thing. All we can do as transaction coordinators is just continue to follow up, continue to check in, right? We don't want to be overly you don't want to check in every 5 seconds because they're doing the work in the background. For me, it's like, if I don't hear from someone after a whole weekend, I'm checking in that Monday as soon as possible. But we've had deals fall out of close of escrow the day before escrow, or they would try to save it and it just fell apart 2 months later. And now I've had this file and I've worked on it for over 6 months, and now it's a dead deal. That's the unfortunate reality of being self-employed and working in the real estate industry. Is it's you can't really trust the files are going to close. So in turn, which is why I talk about mental health a lot, is because in turn we tend to overextend ourselves. We are managing more than one person can handle. I think it's okay to hire help, but I think a lot of TCs, and I've been guilty of this, uh, don't hire help because their files are a mess. It doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. It's just organized chaos. And let me know if that makes sense, because for me as a transaction coordinator, I have my systems, I have my abbreviations, I have my way of filing things, and I have covered for other TCs and have, refined my systems and cleaned up the way I organize things. But then I'll go into someone else's inbox, when I'm covering for them, and I'm just looking at like, it's like we're both doing the same exact job, just different ways. And it's like, it's like that trend on TikTok right now. It's like, um, this same person, different fonts, or like the same thing, different fonts. You know what I mean? It's like it's we're doing the same exact job, trying to get to the same exact finish line, but they just do it differently than I do. So when people ask me for training or if I have a course, I don't. Simply for the fact that, I mean, I can't control the nuances or how people decide to organize their files or whatnot, but I think working in a way and organizing your files and managing your time in a way that allows anyone to come in at any time will provide you with more success and more room. And I mean success like mentally, emotionally, even financially, because it's good to take vacations, it's good to take time off, it's healthy to do those things. But if we're allowing some things such as disorganization hold us back from taking the necessary time off that we need, then we're always going to be in a state of chaos, in a state, a state of being out of control. And that's not healthy for anyone. And I don't recommend that for anyone either. So um, I know I kind of went on several different tangents there. So keep me in line. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat or just say hi. Just say hi. I'll comment the first comment so we can break the ice. Hi. But it looks like there's 1 million people here in this live. I was on live yesterday and I said, even though it says one person or two people on live, I look at it and I present my lives and I talk to the, whoever is here as if, yes, I'm going to talk to the one person, but I also see it as like, it's 100 people, it's 1,000 people, it's 100,000 people, 10,000, you know what I mean? Like preparing myself for a bigger audience or, group of people that I may have to speak in front of one day on live or in person. So coming on here, being able to, just share my insight, but also help those that may need help in the middle of their workday. I'm making myself available. But at the same time, I'm also working on my communication skills, my stage fright, if and when that exists, because I definitely have a lot of stage fright, and also known as anxiety. But to me, this is easy. Coming on live, just hitting this, go live button, that's easy for me. It's a matter of making sure I stay concise and making it make sense at the end of the day, and not veering too far off of my goal, which is to come on here and make myself available again and share my insights. So going back to where this conversation started is I got 2 new listings today. And the reason I spoke to the realtor, I got 2 new listings last week. And the reason I spoke to the realtor last week, rewind, I received 2 brand new listings last week from the same realtor. So yesterday, Monday, we got on the phone. Yes, I got on the phone. And so we had a conversation to be on the same page because it had been a while since he had a couple new listings, and he wanted to see what platforms I was using and which one's better, because there's so many different ways to send a seller disclosures, which is why I talked about there are so many different ways to be a transaction coordinator and organize and file things, because it all is a reflection on how we were taught it, either taught how to be a TC or taught how to file things from school, from kindergarten up, right? Those habits still live with us. But I got on the phone with him, and he has a couple other listings from last year that are kind of just sitting, and we're waiting for the city to get back to us. So he was telling me, which is why it's important to, have conversations, because sometimes emails, it just doesn't translate the same, or you don't get all the answers you want in one sitting. And he was saying basically like the condos aren't selling. So I don't want you to spend too much time on this right away. You can get all the disclosures out because they are expecting them. But my other listings, I'll let you know when things are happening. But right now, nothing is happening. So I don't want you to, overextend yourself or do any unnecessary work that isn't needed right now, and to use that time and energy towards other transactions or whatever, you know what I mean? And that was kind of the basic understanding that I got from him, which was good because I mean, I told him, I was like, great, we're just waiting for the natural hazard report. So I'll send these disclosures out first thing tomorrow morning, which I did. I got one done. So I'm going to work on the next one after this live and get those disclosures out to the seller. But I'm glad he said that to me out loud, because some of my angst sits in what is the realtor thinking, or what is the realtor thinking about what I actually do? And that's an insecure that I work on actively, you know, and I don't that's an insecurity that I have to work on. That it's mostly, and I know the cause of it. It's mostly rooted in inactivity. So I think I overcompensate when I'm sending emails like, what's the status of this email? Or what's the status of this transaction? What's the status of this, you know, this closing or whatnot, which is, I think it's fine. But at the same time, I have to have boundaries with my own insecurities as well, and catch them when they're flared up, basically. Let me close some tabs because I have way too much open right now. But yeah, that's what I was doing all morning, is just working on listings. Again, I'm in a season of, I feel like I'm pivoting. I'm getting to know myself. I'm trying to figure out what type of work I want to work on in this next season of my life, in the second half of this year. It doesn't include only doing transaction coordination, but then having to start a business from scratch, such as coaching or becoming a content creator that is full-time or part-time, whatever that looks like to me, right? So if that means coming on here live, amazing. But in the you know, the bigger picture of it all, what am I working towards? And I feel like, you know, after I turned 40, you know, we got the fun stuff out the way. We traveled. I mean, there's still a lot of fun stuff ahead. Every day is a fun time, even when I'm sad or going through it. I know those are just sections of my day, but truly, like, what am I working towards? What is my why? You know, everything I preach to you guys on my show here on YouTube or on my content, I have to apply that to myself as well. And I feel like I actually threw away all of my old vision boards. I took pictures because I still like the idea of like, oh, look, it was on my vision board. I still like that idea, but I got rid of all but one. I don't know where I put it at the moment, but I got rid of all of my old vision boards because, one, it was just a lot of clutter. I'm really trying to become not an entire minimalist, but I'm really embracing that minimalist mindset and lifestyle. I still have a long way to go, but starting with things like that, which it's not necessarily clutter, but it's also an exercise in like trusting my vision. Like, I don't need a constant daily reminder out in the open to tell me, you know, where I'm going. Subtle reminders. Yeah, I could have easily just tucked them under my bed, but at the same time, I feel like new decade, new me. What am I going to put on my new vision board? What are my new goals? What is my new why? What am I working towards? Because when I first quit my job, my why was to be able to work from home, not have to wear a bra while I work, because I used to work in an office and they were very strict about dress code, and I got very loose with that. I would wear kicks, I would wear tennis shoes, I would wear hoodies. I was getting rebellious. That's how I should have known it was time for me to quit sooner than later. But I didn't. But again, God's timing, I have no regrets. But that was my original why, and I've been able to maintain that for the last 6+ years. And now I feel like I'm in a place where, okay, that vision has been fulfilled, you know, and it's active, it's still happening. What parts of that do I want to keep, and what parts of it do I want to revise? or remove, right? So that's where I'm at today. So maybe on the next live, because I'm going live tomorrow again on TikTok at what time did I say? 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. So maybe tomorrow, since that's going to be on my phone, because I don't think I can go live on my laptop. I'm not sure yet. I haven't tried it, but maybe I'll test it out today. But maybe tomorrow we'll do like a vision board. Or maybe, I don't know, who's here? What do you guys think if I did like a vision board, like live session? Would that be more productive during the day or in the evening? Like later at night? Because I know we have East Coast and West Coast times, but I also know this is going to, you know what? I'm going to do it here. Okay. I don't want to process all of this online. But if you have any feedback, let me know in the comments, because I want to know what you guys want. I could just go over the structure and the bones of a vision board. But we all know vision board is nothing without doing the work. I'm pointing at this little art piece I did for myself. Do the work, because that is something. See that thumbnail? Because you can have all the vision boards, you can have the cutest vision board ever. It's color coordinated and sectioned off, and you have the travel vision board, you have the business vision board, you have the family relationship vision board, but none of it works unless you put in the action and do the work and just take action. And that action can be messy and disorganized, or that action can be systematic and strategized, planned out in every detail, a roadmap, if you will. I'm more of like a hybrid. I'm a mix of both organized and chaotic, hence me saying earlier, organized chaos. So I like a element of surprise. So building out my life step by step is unrealistic to me. And that's based off experience. I've had plans where it's like, it's going to, these are the next 10 steps that I need to achieve in the next 365 years. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you thought. God was like, no, we're going to take a detour. Your grandma's sick and you have to take care of her, and then figure out how you're going to make money for the rest of, from here on out. So that's all the work I've been doing is having the vision, having the dreams and the goals that I want to achieve. And now that I'm at this new decade, I feel like, dang, like all of my goals that I've achieved and the way that things have happened, man, my mindset is just completely different. I don't even know how to fully describe it or articulate it. It's like some stuff has just come to me, right? And I didn't have to do any work. It just showed up, right? Other areas of my life, I'm like, what is going on? So what I've narrowed it down to was like, if there's too much resistance, then I won't even pursue it. If there's more ease and it just flows naturally, I stick with it. So that's kind of like the meter in terms of like decision making, because I can be very indecisive and overthinker, overanalyzer. Is it safe? Is this right? Do I want to even spend money? And again, that's a whole other journey I've been on, is being comfortable with spending money, letting that go and trusting that it's going to come back. So I call it boomerang money, right? It's like, I trust that when I let it go, it's going to come back to me either the same or 10 times more, right? Or 2 times more. I don't have to always think or always need it to come back 10 times over. I just have to trust that it's going to come back. And that's the resistance part with my money, is like, when I'm hoarding it, I'm creating my own resistance. Therefore, nothing good is happening from that. Only more stress, only more resistance, only more resentment, only more work on my end. And then I wonder why I'm exhausted by the end of the day, right? So ultimately, I'm my mindset is, okay, we can work on the vision board. That's fine. We can set new goals. That's great. And, you know, continue to listen to my mind and my body and God. Ultimately, that's truly the journey I'm on, is like trusting God and learning how to trust myself. I think that was something that I just started to understand and feel in the last maybe 2 years. 2 years. Like, I'm basically a 2-year-old. I'm a 2-year-old adult, if that even makes sense, because when I was 37, because I just turned 40. So when I was about 37, I started to feel like, damn, everything I knew, everything I believed, just on my own. I mean, it got me this far, but this can't be it. There has to be more. Or maybe I'm just not seeing things for what it was. And I had to challenge all of my old beliefs, all of my old, programming that I was taught since I was a kid. Even the way I run my business, what does that look like? What does ease look like for me? What does success mean to me? What does love mean? What does respect mean? What are my values? What are my core values that, if I encounter a person in this industry that is violating any of those values or not in alignment with those values, I have to let it go. Because again, I'm not gonna there's ease and then resistance. I spent so many years on the resistance side, which caused hesitancy, overthinking, anxiety. Whereas like now I'm like, okay, I choose ease. I choose even when things, are challenging or rocky, I still know I'm on the right path because there's still progress forward. Whereas like when I live in the resistance part of life, I'm just in the same spot. I haven't moved. I'm stagnant. I'm complacent. I'm comfortable. I'm chilling on the couch eating chips, which is fun. That's a fun activity for me, and I can do it 24/7. But it's unhealthy. It's not going to get anything done unless I become the girl on live that eats chips and watches TV all day, which, hey, I might still do anyway. Because there's no limits on what kind of there are no limits to my creativity. There are no limits to my way of operating my business. I'm not relying just on real estate to provide me with the meaning of life or the meaning of success or the meaning of joy. It's just the paycheck. It's just a paycheck. You know what I mean? And I've learned that, like, after I was able to replace my income at my 9 to 5, because I was so dependent on, what if I don't ever make money again? Or what if I don't ever, make enough money, because what was the insecurity behind that thought process was, I don't have a college degree. I don't know how to use Excel. That was a real insecurity for me. I've talked about that here, but I believed that if I didn't know Excel, that I couldn't succeed in this world. I thought just because this was the type of job that I've had, that this is what I have to do for the rest of my life. No, I don't. Which is why now, even me saying, oh, if I just go on live and eat chips all day, that to me, if someone wants to do that as a career, why would I knock that? If I want to do that as my career, I have as long as there's no resistance and there's more ease in that process, then I'll do it. But if there's too much resistance and it doesn't work out, then I'm not going to do it. But that's kind of, I wouldn't even call it an extreme example, but that's just one example of like where my mind has gone, and I think a lot of that thinking was accelerated because, one, I turned 40. Two, I've experienced a lot of grief, a lot of loss, in my life, especially in the last decade, to where I'm just kind of, I'm not exhausted, but it accelerated my decision making, and like, no, I'm not sticking around for people that are looking through me and not at me, if that makes sense. That's just like a figure of speech I'm using, because what I learned was when my grandma passed away, A lot. It was very much, oh, I'm sorry about your loss. So where are my disclosures? Where are my documents? There was no, let me call you back. Go ahead and take the day off, or I'll take care of it. It was very much like, oh, that's so sad. Anyway, where are my papers? What's the status of this file? Heartless. Heartless. People are heartless. And don't get me wrong, the people I work with today in 2024, June 2024, are the ones that I started with and have remained human throughout this entire experience. Like I just said, the conversation I had with my realtor earlier, he was like, no, I have these listings coming on, but don't do any unnecessary work if you don't have to. That's the type of energy I need, because that's what I'm giving. Like, you tell me when to go and I'll go, but also I'm going to do my job and follow up and ask you, and if you're going through something, I'm going to respect that. You tell me how to move. If you need me to fill in, not as the realtor, but if you need me to just step up a little bit more, tell me that. You know what I mean? Especially in your absence. That's actually what I'm doing right now with the other team I'm working with. The realtor is out of the country, so we've been corresponding a little bit more than normal. But I've been working with this team for almost 7 years now, and me and the executive assistant, or the director of operations, I'm sorry, have been communicating with the seller a little bit more than normal in terms of, how are you doing? Do you have any questions about the disclosures? How are you, are you okay navigating DocuSign? Blah, 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 blah. And it's smooth, there's ease. Whereas like when I had a full roster that was bringing in 5 figures a month, those realtors were terrible people. And I feel, and it's not my place to judge or to create a campaign to like expose these people, but it's a lot of, it's a lot of top producers that really don't care about the people that work under them, and that's another thing. It's like, I stopped saying that I work for blah, blah, blah. I say I work with. We are a team. And a lot of these realtors were looking at me as a transaction coordinator as bottom of the bottoms. Like I wasn't a human. I was just a robot. I'm like, oh, well, all you have to do is this or that. And once I started to learn how to advocate for myself, once I started learning how to protect myself and even verbally express myself, oh, I became a beast. I became a beast. So that's when, I hired a coach. I haven't worked with my coach this year, so I'm kind of, and I definitely need to go back to therapy. But I wanted to give myself a chance this year to really like stand on my own 2 feet. Because I also don't believe that, okay, what I do believe is anything in excess is bad for you, or not the healthiest, or anything in excess is not necessary. So what I mean by that is, when I was working with my coach, I think I worked best with my coach when I had something to work towards. Whereas like now, I mean, financially, it was also, I had to make a lot of cuts with my finances this year in order to pay off, to start paying down my debts. But I think what I failed to realize when I hired a coach, and take note of this, you people, anytime you work with a coach, whether it's me or anyone else, keep in mind the goal that you're working towards, because I feel like I achieved a lot of the goals that I wanted to accomplish with my coach. But what I realized was that at some point I have to be able to take action even without my coach, because it almost became like this codependent relationship. Like, I need to turn back and see what my coaches think. And remember, it's that people pleaser in me, right? Where it's like me needing to know, like, or me needing to give off this vibe that I'm always working, or that I'm always checking in with realtors. That, hey, look at me, I sent a follow-up email. Ugh, it's so cringe thinking about it. But not to knock anyone's hustle. It's just, for me, my insecurity was like, I felt guilty if I was watching TV in the middle of the day, or I felt guilty if I was going on live during work hours. Like, enough of that. I've moved on from that mindset. A little bit of it still does exist, but at the same time, it's like, if I really feel that strongly about it, then just call the realtor, set up a one-on-one meeting and check in with them, ask them for feedback, right? But going back to the conversation around excess, like too much of anything isn't always the best. So I'm definitely in a season in 2024, and now the second half of 2024, where I'm like, everything I learned, every book I've read, every guru I followed, every coach I've ever worked with, ever had a meeting with, or any present, TED Talk or podcast that I've ever listened to. Okay, I'm done consuming. I mean, I still consume a little bit, but I'm done consuming, and now it's time to take action and show myself, and prove to myself, and see what it feels like, and allow my body to feel what it feels like to trust myself, to stand on my own 2 feet, to take action. Whereas before, I was in this season of just consumption. Let me consume everything. Let me read everything. Whereas like now, it's like, let me start applying it. Let me start do the work. That's why I have that there. It's a subtle reminder. It's a subtle reminder. That's why I don't have too much. I don't have any wall art right now. I have a few things, that are there to remind me, but I used to have things everywhere on my office, because that was like another thing that I was like, oh, I want it to look aesthetically pleasing. It wasn't making me money. No one comes in here. My niece to watch because I have a TV. So yeah, I think I was just doing things all for the wrong reasons at first. And now I'm like, okay, time to see what I'm capable of without these crutches, and just that, not just figuratively speaking, but like, if imagine yourself on crutches and your doctor says, oh, you don't have to use crutches after 6 weeks. But then you insist, like, no, I need to use them another 6 weeks. I need to use them another 2 more weeks, 1 more week. When in actuality, you might have not needed crutches into week 4, but those extra 2 weeks to make 6 weeks was just kind of that like trial period, the readjustment, to get reacclimated with things period, until week 7, when you're ready to be out on your own. So part of that journey of trusting myself is, one of my love languages is words of affirmation. So I broke it down so simple, to the point where anytime I'm working out, or it's that time of the month and my body's just in pain, or my mind is just out of whack, I'll just say, I trust myself, over and over and over again. I trust my body. I trust myself. I trust my body is a big one. I'm going to put it in the chat. Even when I didn't believe it in the beginning. But even when I didn't believe it, I just kept saying it until the pain was no longer an issue. And I truly do believe it's like what we think and what we say impacts our overall health. I think I was carrying all this stress of like, the same way I was dreading Mondays. I was dreading getting my period, because it was so heavy and painful, when I did nothing about appreciating it. I was never grateful for it. I was only against it. And in return, my body would hurt and suffer. When I was like, you know what? because I was going to the Beyonce concert and I was on it. And I know this might be a little bit of a TMI, but I was like, oh, I refuse to go to miss this concert because of this. So I did everything the complete opposite of what I normally did when it was that time of the month. And I started my day with a walk, and the whole walk, I just kept saying, I trust myself. I trust my body. I trust my body. I trust my body. And because normally as soon as I get it, I'm in bed, I'm in home, I'm nursing myself, I'm coddling myself. When it's like I never challenged myself to just go out, I would cancel plans. It was terrible. So after having that realization, like, no, I'm taking my power back. It started with moments like that. And this was just last year in August. So I'm 10 months into this, and it's made a world of a difference, like a complete 180. And I feel more confident in those times of the month, even with my mental health, when I feel myself getting, like having extreme, like emotions of like sadness or depression. I'll look at my calendar. Okay, where are we? What time of the month is it? I check in with that. I also make sure, like, okay, have I eaten? What am I eating? I changed my nutrition and my eating around a little bit. I started eating, not every day, it's still a work in progress, but one, I had to make sure I was taking vitamins again, and not just taking any vitamins, but just like a multivitamin after I ate breakfast, making sure I eat breakfast because that always gives me more energy. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes breakfast is ice cream because I need that like quick sugar rush to get me through. But it's mostly like when I'm PMSing, like this week. So I had ice cream for breakfast yesterday. But anyway, being mindful of just your body and what it needs impacts your workday, impacts your business, impacts how you are around other people, not just at work or in your business, but even your family and your friends. You know what I mean? So I've come to realize that taking care of myself has been my best asset and my priority. It's my priority over my business. It's my priority over everyone. It's God, me, everyone else, and everything else after, in that order. But if you're still here, shout out to the 200 million thousand people here in the live. I see you guys. Thank you so much for liking this live. Hit the like button if you haven't already done so. I will say, if you are here, commenting helps. I'm not trying to, put you guys on blast or force you to ask a question, or, speak in front of the classroom. It's more so, it's like when people engage with the live, whether they like it, hit the like button, or they share it with someone, or they comment. That's why you hear a lot of content creators say, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe, because this is the part that I can't control, is the algorithm, right? So when people comment or hit the like button or share, copy the link and share it to their coworkers or post it on their social media feed, the algorithm sees that as, oh, this chat is getting a lot of engagement. Let me share it to more people, because I'm streaming live right now. So it's notifying people that don't even subscribe to me. So the 200 million thousand people that are in this live with me right now may not even be subscribed to me. You might have just found me on the feed. So shout out to you, whoever you are. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know how I'm doing. If there's something you want me to talk about, or if you want me to keep talking about a certain thing that I was talking about today, I will gladly do so. I can't even believe almost 45 minutes has gone by. That this live flew by quicker than yesterday's. I love it. I definitely am going to be doing a lot more of these live sessions, because it's easier. I don't have to create or edit anything. I can just pop on here. I could be reading my notes and just talking to you guys. and it lives on the platform. But I will say I am releasing a vlog tomorrow because I want to bring more, like a more realistic, like day in the life type stuff to accompany these live sessions, because I spent last night or yesterday evening recording some content because I'm working on like 20 tips, 20 years in 20 days, right? I'm not posting every single day. It's going to be Monday through Thursday. And basically, I documented me setting up my office, setting up the camera, stuff like that. And my script and my thoughts around creating content. So you guys are gonna get that vlog tomorrow morning. What else? This is random, but if anyone has a connection with getting Janet Jackson tickets, just send them my way. I want to go, but I don't want to spend money on on paying for tickets because I would much rather just get some for free. Or like a super discount. I only say that because my email's open. I just got an email about the show tomorrow. She's going to be in San Francisco tomorrow. But yeah, today's probably like one of the more normal days where it's like, working on transactions, finding new ways to be creative here online. And again, after a while of just planning and strategizing, I wasn't taking any action. So I just was like, let me just go on live and talk and see what happens. Every idea that I wrote I have notes from my note app to notebooks of ideas. It's insane how much I have things just written down everywhere. But there was I wasn't this way. Oh, I wasn't doing the work. The camera is inverted, so it's throwing me off. I wasn't doing the work. So coming on here on live, again, every Monday and Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So depending on what coast you're on or what country you're in, make sure you're checking the time zones. But I also create the live event, so you can just save it. You don't have to do anything. You just save it, and it will alert you just like that. I know these last two were kind of last minute, but I feel like now I have more time and space to promote it, to get more people involved. Because I didn't even send it in my newsletter. So many people are like unsubscribing. I'm like, did I get canceled? Did I do something wrong? So I don't want to bombard people in my newsletter and be sending emails every day because I hate when that happens. I unsubscribe. That wasn't, going back to minimizing and having like a minimalistic lifestyle. I unsubscribed to so many email lists. I got rid of my hallway right now is a bunch of bins of just things I had laying around. Books, clothes, stuff, random electronics that I'm just like, I need to let go of it. I don't need these things. What am I going to do with them? I don't know yet, but I just need to get rid of the excess. Again, too much of anything it's unnecessary. It's not right or wrong. I should reframe that. It's not right or wrong. It's just, for me, it's unnecessary. And that's where you start to like err towards like hoarder tendencies. And that's something I'm not about. So right now, everything's kind of just in a bin, but I got rid of I'm planning to just either store them away or give them away, donate them. Unsubscribing to a lot of email lists, and maybe those that are unsubscribing on my email list, just maybe I don't serve a purpose in their life anymore, and they've outgrown that. So and maybe I just need to change my messaging. So me not emailing people every day, it doesn't really give them ample time to be aware of things like this on the live. So I think I'll send one more email tomorrow just like give people like a rundown of like what's to come, what's happening, and take it from there. What else did I do to kind of make my life a lot more, to basically declutter my life? Yeah, got rid of a lot of clothes, rearranged my office, rearranged my room, took down a lot of the things just hanging on my wall that I've had for decades and never changed it out. Just shifting the energy, changing the energy, creating a space that reflects, who I am today. I cut my hair, as much as I enjoyed having longer hair, I had to clean it up. I was like, it starts even with how I look on the outside, working out more, being more active, being more intentional with what I eat, not just eating to lose weight, but eating for energy and eating for my body, because everyone's body is different. Everyone's blood type's different. Everyone's heart is different. Everyone's muscles are different. So I can't tell you guys what to eat. You have to learn how to eat for your own body and for your own energy and for your own ailments. For me, I found like when I eat protein in the morning, I operate best, and that time of the month isn't as stressful. I'm always dehydrated. So I always make sure I'm hydrating myself, not just with water. I want to introduce more coconut water into my day to day. Taking vitamins is crucial. B12. I'm always low in potassium. So I make sure I have a banana on deck at all times. So you have to get to know your own body in order to operate and function at a high level. And then those times when I do crave sugar or sweets or snacks, I've worked towards enough discipline to not indulge or even have those cravings like I used to. So that's helpful, and then I also just don't buy snacks like I can. And I shop at Trader Joe's mostly because it's affordable, it's easy. And I don't know. A lot of the sweets to me aren't as sugary as like the processed foods I would get at like Safeway or Foods Co. or whatever those stores are called. And I'm just shopping for me, so I don't have to really go to Costco unless I'm getting stuff like toilet paper or paper towels and water for long periods of time. They don't have to purchase as much. But yeah, everything that I talked about is everything that I'm doing actively in this new season of my life. And I think the biggest challenge for me at the moment is learning how to make money in a way that is of service to people. It's in alignment with my values. It's in alignment with my personality. And of course, in alignment with the skills that I possess. So I think for me right now is actually creating like a time block where and I'm going to write this down because I know I'll forget. That's the other thing. I'll talk and talk and talk and forget that I have to do these things. And then a month has gone by, a year has gone by, and I never made that vision board. But I'm going to block some time off to create my vision board, revisit my why. What are my goals? What are my dreams? And you guys can do this as well. So let me start over. If you want to do this as well, I'll talk a little slower. So as I'm writing, you guys can write these things down as well. But I'm going to take some time and block it out. And maybe I'll do this with you guys live. My only hesitancy is that I don't want to share too many personal things, but it's more so giving you guys the structure and the bones of what's necessary. So for the 200 million thousand people that are in this live today, you guys have an idea of what I'm working on, and then you can work on it for yourself for the remainder of 2024 and for 2025. So that's going to involve creating, actually before we get to the vision board, I want to think about and talk, write out. For me, when I write things out, not just like on the computer, but on a piece of paper, it makes more sense to me. It feels more real. So I want to revisit my why. Like, why am I doing anything that I'm doing? Why am I on live? Why am I a transaction coordinator? Why do I want to be a coach? Why do I want to be a full-time content creator? Why are these my goals? Why are these my dreams, right? So revisiting my why, listing out my goals, the outlandish goals as well, the small goals. Like a smaller goal I have is to buy new workout shoes, because the shoes I work out now and I do everything in. Now that I play tennis, I can't. I think I need to actually get tennis shoes. I want to do more walking and running, so I might have to invest in actual running/walking shoes. So that's like a smaller goal I have. And then underneath that smaller goal, I'm going to have to create smaller, more tangible goals. Like, okay, well, how much do I need to save? How much are the shoes going to cost? When am I going to go try them on? Because one thing I do not like is to have bad shoes. I don't buy used. I don't really like to buy them sight unseen. Unless it's for like fashion purposes. But when it comes to working out and exercises, I take very good care of my feet, because I ruptured my Achilles 10 years ago. 10 years ago, actually, 2014. And it was not fun after rupturing my Achilles. So I make sure I take care of my feet. But again, revisiting my why, or if you don't have a why, creating a why. What are your goals? What are your dreams? And be outrageous. The most wildest dreams that you don't think are possible, write them out. And I'm talking to myself too. And then, once you kind of have an understanding of like, okay, what are my dreams? What are my goals? What is my why? Now you can kind of start working on your vision board. And that's the fun part, is being creative, using magazine cutouts. You could do a digital one. If you have Canva, I use Canva, and then just start creating. Or if you prefer the more, manual cutting out on a poster board or whatever the case, do that as well. But then once you have your vision board, it's like, okay, great. When do I want to achieve these things? So like, what is my timeline for said projects, right? And then once I have an idea of like, okay, well, I want to buy new workout shoes before August 1st, or by August 1st, right? Great. So now I have a deadline to meet, to work towards. So I have to, because shoes are so expensive. Oh my God. I would be spending almost close to $500 on 2 new pairs of shoes right now. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that today. So if I give myself until August, that's plenty of time, because the shoes I have still work, but I know they're on their last leg. Pun fully intended. So creating like a timeline for yourself with deadlines, really makes it real. And then once you kind of have like, your date on when you want to set, now it's time to take action. What is your action plan? Plan, strategize, organize, right? We talked about organization earlier. Organize. Staying focused. What do you need to stay focused? What kind of food do you need to eat, to drink, to stay energized throughout the day, to have a clear mind? What is stressing you out right now? And then you might want to list out, what are you resistant about? What is resistant in your life? What areas of your life are, what areas of your life contain the most resistance? Or what are your fears and doubts, insecurities? Because sometimes it helps to just identify what we're going through. And for some people, that just might mean writing it out on a piece of paper in a journal. For some, you take it up a notch, sharing it with a family or a trusted friend, trusted family member, trusted friend. Then another level up for that is like trusting it with, a medical professional, therapist, psychiatrist, doctor, whatever the case may be, if it's a matter of your health, your physical health. But sometimes like just seeing it, like, oh, that's what I was scared of this whole time. You realize like it wasn't as scary as you made it to be. You just get telling yourself that this is going to be big and scary. Like I would tell myself that time of the month is going to be big and scary. So I'd purposely or unconsciously actually not do the things I knew I didn't know I was capable of for an entire week. I would just be like, can't do it, mama, period. Instead of just challenging that norm and being like, hey, actually, I can do it and I'm going to do it with this thing happening. And I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to trust my body. And if and when I have to sit down or take a break, I will. But I'm not just going to take myself out of the game prematurely if I don't have to. We just hit an hour, guys. There's 1,100,000 of you in this live. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, whoever you are. I bet it's Beyonce. That's probably why you're not commenting. You want to keep your identity a secret. I get it. It's fine. I see you. But shout out to anyone that will watch the replay, especially this part. I think it's important to go back and revisit because even for myself, I'm not just saying all this, for you guys, because I know it'll be beneficial, but we always have to help ourselves first. And if I don't make the time, it's not going to happen. Because if you were to ask me right now, like, what is my why? I don't think I have one. And I think that's why I've been feeling so lost and confused and still trying to fit in this like, I'm figuring it out. When it's like, I think I just want to, I just am right now. Hi, Veronica. That's what's up. What part of California? I'm in San Francisco. And do you work in real estate? I only see Veronica C. So I may know who this is. I may not. I don't want to assume. Palm Desert. I love Palm Desert. I never understood when I was younger why people want to retire there. And you might have a different perspective because you live there. But I love Palm Desert. Anytime I'm in that area, I'm like, I don't know. I just feel so calm and at peace. I don't know what it is. And I'm a big, like, I need to be near water type of person. So the fact that like I love the desert was different. I kind of felt the same way when I went to Sedona. So I think if I had to pick any elements that I love being around, it'd be like near the ocean, like a body of water, and or the desert. But I don't know if you've been in here, Veronica, or if you just got into the live. I'm currently talking about, updating my why, my goals and my dreams, and creating a vision board with a timeline and date and, creating a plan of action. Because I've just been kind of lost this whole like first half of the year. And I recently turned 40 as well. So I kind of feel like the old things that I was working towards just don't apply to me anymore. But I also haven't taken the time to sit with like, what is my why? What are my goals? What are my dreams? Even the most outrageous ones. I haven't sat with that and took the time to do it. So I'm hoping like me talking about this is going to help someone else as well to, if you're looking, because I see you're a property manager, you're looking to do more TC work. Yeah. So what is your current like plan of action? And you don't have to comment like everything you're doing. If there is an area you have questions about or need my guidance for, go ahead and drop them in the comments. But I'm definitely in a place where I'm like, okay, well, if I want to create more content, what am I going to do? How am I going to do that? And I found myself over planning, over strategizing too much and never taking any action. So that's why I started doing these, started going live. Oh, you're from TikTok, right on. Oh, wait, hold on. Were you in the live last week? That I think you were. I think you were in the live last week when I went live on TikTok for like 2 hours. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm looking at my phone now to see if I trying to see if your account pops up, but it's okay. Because sometimes all I see is like people's handles, so I don't really see like their name is Veronica or Lillian. It'll be like user 521178. And I'm like, thank you for the roses. Let's see. But anyway, shout out to you, Veronica. I have a few Veronicas on here, so I don't know which one you are on TikTok, but shout out to you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And I don't ever want to give off that I have everything together, because I don't, which is why I'm going on live, because I was over here overthinking content creation and strategizing. And it's good to have a plan, don't get me wrong, which is why I want to go back for myself and take some time out and block some time out to go back and revise my why, revise my goals and dreams and plan of action. So I at least have like some guidance for myself. I'm kind of just, honestly, I'm really just kind of hitting the world raw right now. Excuse my language, but that's how I feel. I'm just kind of going, whatever feels good, which is a dope place to be. Don't get me wrong, but financially, it's not the best quite yet. It's not the best decision to be kind of going rogue at all times. Like I said earlier in this live, is like anything in excess is unnecessary. For some people, anything in excess is bad. Anything in excess is good. But for a long period of time, I feel like at a certain point, you have to be able to live without these things or these people. Literally and figuratively. It's like when you're, addicted to candy, or you're so dependent on a job or a person. When it's like, because I was talking about how I stayed at my job way too long when I was actually ready, and that's why they use the term like, crutches. Veronica, that's a great idea, and thank you for that feedback, because I'm always asking people in my newsletter, here on social media, like, do you guys prefer one-on-ones or do you prefer a group? You know what I mean? And I so far, there's definitely been a lot of push for me to go live, which is great. So it's like, let me just keep doing that. Let me not overextend myself and do something that I didn't really think, plan out in the best way. But yeah, I definitely do want to create some sort of group atmosphere. I just haven't figured out, or I haven't chosen like which platform that would live on, or what that would look like. Is it going to be it'll definitely be private, obviously. Yeah, I love going live. It's easy, because when I sit behind a camera or my phone, I love that too, don't get me wrong, but it's the editing part I hate. It's the editing. I have so much content. I don't ever have to create a new piece of content based on all of the content that just lives in my cloud and on my phone right now. It's the editing part. And finding a good editor is expensive, and it's not in the budget for me right now. But God willing, it'll happen. It'll happen. Because I definitely want to get the videos for my podcast edited. I just haven't yet, because they do exist, people. For every interview I did, there's video footage. I just haven't gotten around to putting it on social media. But for me personally, I feel like going live, I'm able to connect with you guys directly, talk to you guys directly, get feedback. Shout out to you for finding me on TikTok. Shout out to you for suggesting a group text and or something for us to motivate each other. I love that, because I think that's what we need more of. We need more of the like, I used to post daily affirmations on my social media. So something to that effect. I don't know if it's going to be, again, it'll definitely be like a private group. I just don't know if it'll be like a Facebook or a Discord, because I have to consider like not everyone's technically savvy. So I want to make sure it's in a place where people won't get lost and it's easy to navigate. But I also want to make sure people aren't getting bombarded with notifications. So I'm going to ponder that. I'm writing that down as we speak. Like, how would I approach that? Because there are definitely like a lot of groups out there, but I also wouldn't mind having a group that I was like the facilitator or like the main lead on that, because then that way I can organize it in a way that isn't just like the boring real estate stuff. Yes, I called real estate boring. But I'm writing that down right now. Like a group text. Because I have something in mind, but I still want to continue to build my community around that. But I think what I have in mind is going to work with this particular idea. I just have to start taking action and executing it, which I think can happen sooner than later for sure. And the summertime, believe it or not, as much as people travel, it is definitely typically a busier time in real estate. I don't know. I find like the summertime is the better time to like revise like your whole business plan. Because usually people would do it in the winter time. But for me, I'm like, I don't know, something about the end of spring and the beginning of summer. I have more energy, maybe because I enjoy warm weather. So when it's like the winter time, I'm like, seasonal depression. I don't want to do anything, which I think is why I'm hyped to like be on live and talk about vision boards and my goals and my dreams and planning things out. Oh my God, editing goes a long way. When she learns, send her my way. Cause and I don't even need like all the fancy stuff that people do. And I know there's a lot of tools on like AI tools and stuff that can do it for me, but I also just don't trust a lot of the technology that's out. It's just too brand new for me. Not too brand new not too brand new not too brand new for me to learn, but too brand new in terms of like, what are you guys doing with my data? What are you guys doing with like the images of like my face and my body? Because there's just too many deep fakes. And I know I'm kind of getting like going a different direction with that, but yeah, data protection is key. But if I can just I just have to, again, take action. I talk about it too much instead of just taking action, because I can also go on Fiverr right now and hire someone within my budget to just do whatever they can within my budget. And it's better than having nothing done. Yeah, I definitely need a village. We all need a village. And and asking for help is also new for me. I would say I'm still learning how to ask for help, even from people I love and trust. I think I've just spent more of my life having to be self-sufficient. So shedding those layers of like, I got this, and I'm also like the eldest daughter. You know what I mean? And like living in a busy city like San Francisco, you have to be a go-getter. There's no excuses. So I'm learning how to shed those layers of like, I'll do it all myself. And I think that started with learning that like my way isn't the only way, right? But also accepting like my way isn't the right way. Like there are better ways to live life without having to do everything myself. So it's a process. It's layers that I have to shed, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Is like asking for help is tough, but it's getting easier. Don't get me wrong, because I just asked, like, when she's ready, send her my way so she could help me. But it's the spending of money that is like the next barrier. Like, okay, great, I got comfortable with asking for help. Oh, but you charge how much? Oh, it's going to cost how much again? That's when I start to like spiral and be like, oh God, here we go, another expense. Da, da, da. Now I have to work more, I have to work harder. I don't want to do all that. I'll just do it myself. And it's a vicious cycle. And that's why I said I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to shed these layers. But I talked about earlier, like boomerang money is what I call it. Is like just trusting when I put it out there, it's going to return to me the same or in abundance. And these are mindsets that are still new to me and still fresh, even at 40 years old. But I do feel like now I have a better grip on the things that I do need, the people I do want to help. I just have to put it all on like a piece of paper so I can hold myself to that and keep the promises and be able to maintain said village, said community. But I like that. I like the word village more than community. I love the word community as well, because to me it's always competition over community. Oh, I'm sorry. Community over competition. But most of the people in real estate think the other way around. And that's why I had to let go a lot of my clients, is because they think everyone is competition to them. And they think that TCs don't matter, that TCs have an easy job. We don't. But what I'm getting at is I'm very inspired now. So stay tuned. Thank you, Veronica. Veronica, if you're still here, no pressure to stay. Have we had a one-on-one? And if you need one, go ahead and I don't know if I could share links in the chat. Let me try. What is it called? Calendly. But if you want to set up a one-on-one, like a discovery call, this is my calendar for June right now. I think you can click on that. Let me see if it works. But yeah, you can set that up. I'm going to pin it. So it's a pinned comment. But if you want to set up a one-on-one to help you with your TC work, or what other areas you need help with, you can go ahead and set that up right there. I also have coaching services. And again, forgive me if we've already worked together. My brain is just not computing fast enough with names and faces, because I kind of feel like we have. But if not, nice to meet you, or good to see you again. But yeah, those are my availabilities for June. So if you want to go ahead and just schedule a session, that's fine, and then we can take it from there. I just want to make sure I'm available and a resource to those that need the help when they can get it. Because I think I'm going to change my whole strategy around like sessions. I don't think I'm going to make my discovery call calendar public anymore, because I've been getting so many cancellations, or just people not showing up and canceling at all. More of the people not showing up and canceling. So so I might have to just start just sharing that directly with people, and only advertising the services that I charge for. Because I had an appointment today. Thankfully, she rescheduled, so I got the alerts early enough. But other people, I'll just be sitting in the Zoom, like waiting for them, like, And it sends automatic reminders, so it's not like it's on my end. But anyway, what I'm saying is take advantage of the fact that my calendar is public right now. And these are 20-minute calls. They're free, but we can talk about whatever areas you feel you need to strengthen, whether it's your business, your mindset, your skill set, whatever the case. We can talk about all of that and just making sure you're headed in the right direction after our call and feeling more confident about making those decisions and moving forward. But yeah, I feel inspired right now. I do. And I'm writing all of this down because I don't want to forget, because I'm pretty good at being inspired and then having my squirrel moment and being like, man, that was such a good live, and then forgetting why it was a good live. So I'm writing it all down. I'm not ignoring you guys. Excuse me, but I like the idea of creating an area where we can all come in. So far, it's the live sessions, but I know not everyone can just sit with the live open and having me talk. But if we have like a space for us to just congregate and talk, I think that would be super impactful. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. I feel good about that one. I don't feel any, so far, I don't feel any resistance towards creating something of that nature. Yeah, I like that. Does anyone else have a habit of eating ice? Uh-oh, is this an ASMR now? Sorry if that was terrible for someone listening. My mouth was getting really dry. But I also really like chewing on soft ice. Okay, so we talked about a lot in this live. It went by so quick. In fact, we're actually over an hour. I don't mind staying a little longer, but drop some comments. Let me know where you're checking in from. There are 200 million thousand people here in the live. Shout out to you too. If it's you, Veronica, shout out to you. Whoever else it is, Beyonce, or maybe it's Adele, or maybe it's who else could it be? Who else could be the other person? Well, maybe it's Missy Elliott. I'm getting silly now. But shout out to you guys. Again, I'm grateful that I can come on here and make myself available and talk to you guys, because it helps me with my day and even my own mental health and just my creative energy. I'm naturally someone that likes to be creating, building, producing things. So when I'm not doing that, I don't feel like myself. So the fact that I've come on here 2 days in a row and you guys are engaging, you guys are talking, you guys are giving me feedback, I love it. I love it so much. And it just makes me want to do more of it. But I also have to have boundaries with my time. But I am going to make this a weekly thing. So every Monday and Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will go live and just stay on as long as the crowd demands. But my goal is to be on for at least 1 hour. Obviously, more or less, depending on who's in there or what we're talking about. And then every Wednesday, and I'll repeat this, don't worry, I'll even put it in the chat. And then every Wednesday, I'm going to go live on TikTok. So same energy, same vibes, but just in the evenings, at night, like after hours, after work hours, maybe like a happy hour type vibe, where we can just chit chat, congregate, and I go live, or I can meet you guys, talk to you guys. But TikTok, YouTube is my main priority this season of my life, and then TikTok is like the sub priority, is the one after that I want to continue to nurture and build that that village as Veronica said, I love that. I love that word village so much. I'm actually very inspired by that word right now. But YouTube Live every Monday and Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So YouTube Live at 2, so then that's 5 p.m. EST, and I think 4 o'clock Central. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mondays and Tuesdays for the entire month of June. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully by July or August, I'll either keep it going or we will change up the times. See what this is, just for me to meet with you guys, but also for me to just get a gauge of like what works best time wise and dates. Because I know July is a busy travel month, so I don't want to. I want to make sure I'm still showing up for you guys, but also I want to make sure people are also available to hang out. And then TikTok Live at I went live at 7 p.m. last week, but I had a lot of people from the East Coast. So I'm upping it 2 hours so they're not there that late. I try not to do it when people are eating dinner, but F it. So TikTok Live at 5 p.m. every Wednesday. Time subject to change next week. Just because if 5 p.m. doesn't work, I'm going to go back to 7 o'clock. Every Wednesday in June. Based on requests. Yeah, so that's the schedule so far. Add these to your calendar. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. I'm going to stay on here I'll stay on here until it hits the 90-minute mark. So that's about less than 5 minutes. So if you guys have any questions or comments, thoughts, ideas, go ahead and share them. Any feedback, because it is greatly appreciated. It is received well. I have an open mind and open heart with what you guys have to say. And if I can be a resource or help you guys, or at least guide you to the right people that can help you, even if it's not me, I'm willing to do that. If you didn't know, I do have a podcast that airs most Mondays, not including holidays, where I talk about my journey in real estate and I interview leading voices within the real estate industry. I did about 20 interviews last year that are streaming right now that you can go listen to. We're almost at episode 60, which is kind of cool because I still remember the day I was sitting in my bedroom trying to figure out how to create a podcast. And the fact that I'm almost at episode 60 is, it still blows my mind. So we'll definitely have to celebrate that when it happens. Also, this past week's podcast was about productivity, being productive, the keys to a productive Monday. I also want to use these live sessions to answer, questions about, or your reactions about the podcast, kind of like an after show where you listen to it and then you come on and you can say the parts that you liked. You can say the parts that you might have not liked or hated, or maybe you want to add some feedback or some thoughts to what I said. Because I always want to give you guys 100 reasons or 100 ways to be productive. But I have to even calm myself down to basically say okay, here's 5 tips. We can keep adding to those later. We don't have to do everything today, but check out the podcast, transactioncarepodcast.com. Let me share that link too. And I think I just saw another new comment. So let me see what that says. And then here we go. But that's the link to my podcast. I was asked to TC. What's up, Savage Unicorn? I love your name. Cecilia. Everyone subscribe to Cecilia's channel. I was interviewed by her. Part 1 and 2 are now live from my interview. Let me pull those and put those in the chat too, because I want you guys to go watch those and subscribe to her channel. Oops, YouTube, where are you? Because I talked a lot about my story there, and she has a lot of great transaction coordinated content as well. Again, we all can thrive and win in this industry because it is community over competition. That's part 1. And then let me pull part 2. But Savage Unicorn, again, I love your name. And you are the second person in this chat amongst a couple other people that have asked for a group chat. So stay tuned. I'm working on it. That's all I got to say is I'm working on it. I'm inspired by this live session. I can't believe an hour and a half has gone by. I usually charge for an hour and a half of my time, but you guys got it here for free. And anyone else that watches this video in the future will get it for free. That's okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. Shout out to your daughter for making the name. But no, yeah. So do you have real estate experience? And if you don't mind sharing your name, otherwise I also don't mind saying Savage Unicorn. Because it could be very intimidating and daunting, and overwhelming on where to start when you get your first transaction. That's content I'm actually working on. But you can go to my videos, Cecilia's videos as well. We both have a lot of content on there where you can kind of get a basic understanding on where to start. Definitely don't overwhelm yourself too much. But also, I pinned my calendar. If you want to schedule a one-on-one with me, you could set up just like a quick 20-minute call. We can get a better understanding of where you're at. But yeah, I suggest, just schedule a discovery call with me. I can at least give you the resources or some basic guidance on where to go, where to start, or at least direct you to the people that can help you. Because again, there's so many of us. I would much rather point you in the right direction than having to, figure it all out if I don't have the experience or the knowledge of what you're looking for, especially if it's for a different state. But I'm always glad to help, especially those in the beginning stages of their journey as a TC. Shaylin, nice to meet you. Is that how you say it? Did I say that correctly? Shaylin, thumbs up if I did. I hope so. If not, please do correct me. Texas. Yeah. Schedule the one-on-one. And then, because one thing we can get you going on is at least the fundamentals. And then anything, cool. Nice to meet you, Shaylin. Yeah, so we could definitely get that scheduled, and we could figure out if you would need more sessions or if I can direct you towards the right person. Oh, are you able to click the link? It's a pinned comment. If not, let me get that link again. Hold on. So when you click on the link, it's a Calendly link. It should be the pinned comment. It'll take you directly to a calendar. If not, here's the link again. Click on, okay, you see it? Okay, yeah, just click on that link. And then just pick a date that works. If any of those dates don't work for you, Shaylin, then let me know. This is my email. That's my email. Just email me directly what times do work for you, and then we'll just create like a custom appointment that way. Excuse me. Also, congratulations on recently becoming licensed. I know that's not easy. It took me 3 attempts to finally get my real estate license. The first time I didn't even show up. The second time I got cold feet, and I took the test, but I didn't take it to pass. I took it just to see how I would do. And then the third time I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed it by 2%. I gave my all, and I went in more confident, and I got it right. I got it done. Yeah, no shame. No shame in my game. Did I enjoy taking it? Having to redo the test knowing I failed by 2%? No, but I learned my lesson. I'm not going to sell myself short when I know I'm capable of doing things. So congratulations for that. I know it's not easy. Yeah. I think a lot of people think you could go into the real estate exam without studying, unless you're like an uber genius, or maybe you've worked in real estate. I don't know. I don't know anyone that's done that and passed. But you have to study. You have to study, because the thing about it is, like, there's so many different categories, and every test is different, and you're not going to be tested on every single category. So you have to be knowledgeable of all of them, and taking practice tests help a lot. And I'm not just talking about to you directly, Shaylin. I'm talking to anyone that's going to be watching this or is here in the chat wanting to get their real estate license. You have to study. There's no way around it. I downloaded apps with practice tests on my phone, so I had it everywhere I went. I locked myself in a room. I left the house to go eat and use the bathroom and stuff like that. But every other minute, an hour, I was in that room studying, even when it was uncomfortable, even when I was angry and hated everything about it or didn't understand it, and it felt like I was reading a foreign language. I was on YouTube, trying to just get any information, any help. And I just immersed myself in the whole study process. And I'm so grateful I did, because it helped me to pass the test. And it does help. It does help in some of it. I'm not going to say all of it translates into real life. Most of it does. And I had to renew my license 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Oh, I mean, renewing it is easier because you could do that from home. But I was just like, oh my God, I am not conditioned to be a student right now. And it was during the pandemic, so I was even more anxious. Like, I can't leave the house. I can't do anything to take a break. I've been in this house forever, and now I have to renew my license, because one of the companies I am contracted with as a TC, they had no remorse. They were like, I don't care if it's a pandemic. We will let you go if your license is expired. And this was at the very beginning of the pandemic. They're like, if your license expires in March, you are in the first group of people that has to renew it by the end of the month. I was like, damn, okay. But sometimes I need to be pushed like that. Sometimes I need to be aggressed a little bit. Otherwise, I get too complacent, and I'll just be like, oh, I'll do it in the spring. I'll do it in the summer, in the fall. And next thing you know, it's fully expired. But I did renew my license. Actually, since I'm on here with you guys, I've been meaning to see how long my renewal lasts. I can't remember. I can't remember if I did it in 2020 or 2021. So I'm going to check to see if my license is still active. It has to be. But either way, taking that test is no joke. And if you're someone that is wanting to become a realtor and wanting to skip steps or drop out of college because you feel like you're not going to be doing that much work, you're still going to be doing a lot of work, especially if you choose to be self-employed, which all realtors are self-employed. You don't get a salary, you don't get insurance. You're in here, every dollar you make goes towards your life, your living expenses, food, transportation, all of the above. Okay, guys, live report. My real estate license expires next year in March. I had a feeling it was coming up close. I got nervous. That's why I wanted to check it this week. So I have a year. Well, what is it? June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. I have 9 months to figure out if I want to continue with real estate or not. So together, collectively, you will be watching my journey with if I will renew my license or end up in a whole new career in March of well, maybe February, because it expires at the beginning of March. Maybe at the beginning, at the top of 2025. Stay tuned. Subscribe as you walk with me. That's why I call it like a day in the life. The suspense, right? That's why I call it like a day in the life, because I want to give you guys more than just the how-tos of being a TC. I've done a lot of that. You can go back. I have playlists on how to do a lot of things. But now it's like the real life of what does a TC do? Why did I decide to become a coach? What triggered that? How is it going? And if anyone needs a coach, I am also a coach. I probably don't talk about that enough to let people know that. I also host a podcast. If anyone wants to sponsor the podcast, that is open and available too. Because Lord God, the prayers I prayed between me and God have been, God, if I could just get a sponsor for the podcast that can replace all this, I will do it. I will be a full-time podcaster, full-time YouTuber. I got to put it out there. Now it's on the live being, but none of that can happen unless I meet my blessings. And if that means going live, if that means being consistent with my podcast again, I'm going to do it. And if it means, again, because I love the clients that I have that I transaction coordinate, that I'm a TC for now. But because I've cut my roster down so much, financially, I'm going to have to recoup some of what I've let go of. And one of those realtors was just, she didn't want to do her job, and we just clashed. And I went outside of my own boundaries and values just to have more business, and it backfired. So I hit 20 years in June, at the beginning of June 4th, marked 20 years in real estate. Shaylin's asking why. Oh, Cecilia said, I can't wait to find out. Yeah, stay tuned. Shaylin says, why did you cut your roster? So I've been working in real estate since 2004, since I was 19, turning 20. No, I was 20 years old. And a big chunk of these last 20 years, I've only done transaction coordination. And I've seen and worked with the best of the best, the worst of the worst, the newest of the new. And I'm now in a place at 40 years old where cutting my roster was the only way for me to be able to pursue other aspects of my business, not just for money, but for me internally, like that align, creating a job and a business for me that aligns with my skills that I already have, my values, my personality. My personality doesn't get to shine when I'm behind a computer just responding to emails and organizing paperwork. So I had to figure out, what does that look like, and also a big reason cutting down my roster was my mental health. The realtors that I work with now, I've worked with since day one of being self-employed. Everyone else in between, I've let go of, or they let go of me. I'm not ashamed to admit that. But it took a lot of work internally for me to realize that I have the power and the control to dictate this whole situation. And I think that's one of the beauties of being self-employed is I have options. There's no one telling me who or what and when to work. Yes, I have deadlines. Yes, I have, commitments. Absolutely. Those don't go away, but it's more so having been self-employed, going on 7 years. There are some days and months and quarters where I'm like, how the heck did I get through that? Like, even right now, like 2023 was probably one of the worst years financially for me, but it birthed so many other, like, it was my renaissance. It was my rebirth, basically. And now, having turned 40, I don't want to continue into a new decade with my old ways of thinking, or reverting back to all of the things that I've undone or worked on for myself through coaching, through therapy, through physical, mental health, fitness, and things of that nature. So I had to cut out a lot. I had to trim a lot of the fat, literally and figuratively. And just keep those that, because I was so tempted to just stop TCing altogether, but I would have no home if that were the case. I would, yeah, because I wouldn't be making any money. So I had to find the happy medium and think about, like, again, earlier in the live, I was talking about resistance versus ease. Wait, my camera's inverted, so I keep moving in the wrong direction. And when it came to those that I let go in my roster, or who let go of me, there was just too much resistance. We just kept clashing, or things weren't moving as smoothly as my other clients and transactions were. And those still had their bumps in the road, but I didn't mind it when I was working with people that I actually enjoy working with. So I'm in a season of, when I feel indecisive, I think about ease versus resistance. What elements are bringing the most ease? I'm going to stick to that. What elements or people are creating the most resistance in my life? I'm going to work on letting them go, or decreasing the time I invest in said thing or person. So that's where I'm at currently. And giving back. I feel like deep down, I've always known I've wanted to give back to people like yourself that are brand new in this, and having 20 years of experience didn't make sense not being shared if I was only TCing. So that's why I started the YouTube channel. That's why I started my podcast, and why I stay active on social media. Because one, social media, YouTube is easy for me. Podcasting is easy for me. So going back to ease, right? TCing was creating so much resistance for me, and I had to listen. I had to learn how to listen when the red flags and the green flags were showing themselves. Whereas before, I would just avoid. So now I'm like literally today in that new season, because June, it's only been 2 weeks. We're only 2 weeks into June, and I feel like I'm like a new adult in a new phase of my life, in a new season of my life. And everything I talk about and preach about on my show and here on social media, I have to start applying in my life, and learning how to trust myself more, and knowing what that trust in myself feels like, and remembering that, because I have way too many years of me not trusting myself that is more familiar than actually trusting myself. Does that make sense? So, excuse me. So it takes time to relearn yourself and trust that, like, when you start something new, you're not going to be making a lot of money right away. But my why is what's going to keep me producing, keep me posting or showing up on live or, whatever it takes in the beginning. Because if I don't put in the work, nothing's going to happen. Okay, so Veronica asked, and if you guys have any questions about the way I think or operate, let me know. Also, something about turning 40. I just have embraced the kind of like F it mentality, whether it's problematic or not. Like I've come too far to not trust myself at this point. And if someone doesn't agree with that, not you guys, but just family, friends, colleagues, whoever doesn't agree with that, again, ease versus resistance. We're going to communicate it. We're going to talk about it. But if you're not bringing ease into my life, peace out. I'm a goofball. I love a good dad joke. Okay, so what do I think about wholesaling real estate? To be honest, Veronica, and anyone else curious about that question, I don't know a lot about it. I really don't. I know a lot of TCs get into real estate to help wholesalers with their paperwork. So if it works for you, more power to you. But for me personally, I've only worked with realtors that focus on residential properties, single family homes, where they work with the buyers and the sellers directly. But wholesaling, again, I'm not that well versed in that area. And I also haven't taken the time to learn about it. Is that an area that you work in or have worked in or know people? So yeah, again, I wouldn't know how to price my services. I wouldn't know what services to offer, simply for the simple fact that I've never done an extensive amount of research in it. But I will say, if someone's selling point to get into an industry is a large sum of money, to me, that's a red flag. But that's just my opinion. I'm not discouraging anyone to try or seek it out. But if your first introduction to anything was you can make $10,000 a month, when I see stuff like that, it creates I don't know, something doesn't sit right in my spirit and in my intuition. I have to like dig deeper and do more research and ask questions. And I kind of feel that way when it comes to, those are my initial feelings when I first started hearing about wholesaling. But I could be wrong. But again, that just means I have to go do more research and understand it, because I know a lot of people sell their courses and their coaching materials, and only like a small percentage actually follow through with that, with that education. And then the person that facilitates the course or the programs disappear, or they never are available, or they don't have the staff or the budget to have like a customer service. So do your research, always do your own due diligence when embarking in any aspect of real estate, not just wholesaling, residential, commercial, rentals, all of it, investment properties, right? Whether you're the buyer, you're the TC, you're the realtor, you're the seller, always do your own due diligence. Don't be afraid to ask questions, even if you think they're dumb. There's no such thing. Or even if you've asked the question, ask again. Ask a different person for another perspective. That's how we learn. That's how we build confidence, is to be curious. And if someone thinks or judges you for that, peace out. Because again, ease versus resistance. If you don't want to help me, get off my team. And I learned that, and the reason I like to come on live and do the podcast, YouTube, is because I had a lot of friends over the years, women of color, text me when they found out, or if they, or those that knew I work in real estate, they would text me. One in particular would texted me when she was at escrow closing on her home. She was like, "What do I do now? What does all this mean?" And the first question I asked her, well, first I was like, take a deep breath because you're at the finish line. But the next question I asked was, who is your realtor? Are you working with a realtor? Because they should have explained all of this to you before you signed the contract. My E&O insurance only covers so much. You know what I mean? So when I started when there was a pattern of question asking and people not knowing or being too intimidated to ask questions, I started to realize, like, this is an area there are no resources out there. So let me take everything I know and just throw it out there on the internet. And see, whoever needs the help can go seek it. They can reach me. But I couldn't go another year only TCing without, like, the possibility of honestly losing my mind. There was something in me that was just like pulling at me to, like, go to the people. That's what I kept hearing. Just give it one more chance. Go to the people. So you guys are my people, my village, my community. And yeah, but I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things, a lot of people. I talked about this earlier on how a big mindset shift for me, and when things started to really click when it came to, like, who I want to work with, was when my grandma passed away. And she was my main why. She was the reason I quit my job. I had no plans of pursuing real estate. Real estate just, once I was ready to quit, it found me again. Talking for 2 hours straight. I'm not used to this. I need to get, like, a talking coach now. But it was the difference between working with, again, the people I work with today have been there since day one, and I have mutual respect for them and they have mutual respect for me. But most of the ones I let go early on, it was after my grandma passed away. It was very much like, one, I didn't feel comfortable telling them because I was like, well, they're not going to understand. Two, when I did tell them, it was like, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. 3-second pause. What's the status of my file? And I'm like, I just lost my favorite person and you're hassling me over an email? That doesn't sit well within my spirit. All this money for what? For me to work with a-holes? Something's got to give. This can't be right. And if that means I have to sacrifice how much I make, because I was making, my first year, I was making like 5 figures a month. More money I ever saw in my life. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But after my grandma passed away, I was like, no more. I mean, I welcome the 5 figures a month if that wants to come back and be a thing in my life. I welcome it with open arms. But if my mental health was a compromise, don't we all? Exactly. But if my mental health is at stake to please someone that doesn't care about their clients or their team members, whether it's a TC or the escrow officer, the lender, then I got to let them go. Or if they want to let me go, I'm okay with it. I'm already at peace. I can walk away with peace of mind. But that was early on in the beginning of my career. And I definitely can say I've built a stronger mindset today to navigate people like that. I remember this one escrow officer. Well, okay, so the most, what is the most number of agents I've worked with? Um, I will tell you this much. The most I've ever worked with is probably, because a lot of them were teams. So I don't know if I can give you an accurate number, but I would say I had about, I was working with maybe like 10 teams at once by myself. No assistant, no team members. I would say at any given time in total, probably 10 teams. Some teams had one member, some teams had two members, some teams had five members. So, but not all but not everyone I worked with was active, meaning like they didn't have business. It was like their star top producers that had the business. So a bulk of my business was usually coming from like five people. Even if I had like 100 people on my roster, that doesn't matter if none of them are producing. So it's not the quantity of people you're working with, it's the quantity of what they are producing. So when you're onboarding a new realtor, ask them like, what are their projected numbers for the year, or what did you close last year? And if they say 0, then you can say, well, you can ask them like, what's happening, why? Yeah, and sometimes all you need is one team. Sometimes if you find like that one team that can get you around 5 to 10 closings a month, you'll be solid. I mean, I don't know what your expenses are, but just starting out, you want to take it slow. I don't recommend people that have no experience start off with a lot of people on their roster or with a lot of closings. I really don't. But if you do, get help. Ask for help, ask for training, get organized. You need to be very organized in this field. Make sure you're using programs to help you stay on top of things, to remember dates, because if you try to remember everything and commit it to memory, things will fall through the cracks. So that's good that you're starting with a team. I definitely recommend work with that team, because eventually like your work will speak for yourself, or referrals will start coming in because you're top of mind, because that realtor, they're friends with other realtors and they'll go ask like, oh, who's your TC? And then they'll share your information. That's how I got a lot of my clients, is just aligning myself with a brokerage, and then, being available. But that was like, it was a double-edged sword in the beginning. But then again, I was coming into being self-employed with 15 years of experience of being a TC, but 0 experience being self-employed and being a solo entrepreneur. And that made a big difference, because I was trying to run a business with a 9 to 5 mindset. You know what I mean? And that's not how you do things when you're trying to run a business. Not trying, when you are running a business. Even if it's just you and you're the only employee, you still have to treat it as a business. But those early days were very lucrative, but who I was mentally, emotionally, even physically, I was not in tune with who I was, who I am, who I wanted to be. And then once you take that first big hit, well, for me at least, and then now you have to do all of that while navigating grief. It was tough. It was tough. And I kind of avoided grieving my grandma up until last year. So that was like 4 years after she passed away. I never dealt with it. And I had all the tools. I'd been through it before. I'd lost people before. I know how to grieve. I know all the steps. But then I just went straight into flight or fight mode. And I straight up was like, just surviving. And then the pandemic hit the next year. So I had to deal with that. That's why I was talking about earlier. Like, I feel like I'm emerging into a new version of me, because who were we the last 4 or 5 years? Thankfully I was working on myself every single day, every day, no days off when it comes to taking care of yourself. And all of that work finally caught up to me today. One thing I knew for sure was like, I am not going into a new decade of life with all of this baggage. I refuse, and I refuse to align myself with people that don't care. That's why I call my business transaction care, because there was no care in real estate when I was first starting out. No care for their clients. All they cared about was cashing checks and getting the deals. They didn't care about themselves either. A lot of the realtors I worked with, their health. Some of the realtors I used to work with back in the day, God, I'm not trying to judge them, but they looked terrible. They looked unhealthy. It was, I was like, there needs to be more care in real estate. And it's also a play on California real estate, CARE. But I was like, I'm doing all these transactions and there's no care. Not that I need people to like hug me or like high five me after everything I do, but it's more so like, there's a car passing by, but it's more so like, dude, do you guys even care about the buyers and sellers? If you did, you would put a little bit more effort into protecting them. Anyway, I'm venting now. Oh, good, 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 good. You do have a sweet deal. I love it. That's how it is. Real estate is a game of who do you know, right? Who do you know? And just being really good at time management, discipline, and planning, and knowing when to take a break and actually taking the break. Because it's one thing to know when to do it, but to actually do it are two different things. So in the beginning, you're going to be working a lot harder because everything is new. You're building new muscle memory. You're building new habits. You're learning new skills. You're learning new terminology. So it's going to feel overwhelming. It's going to feel like, what the hell am I doing? How did I get myself in this? They're going to think I'm a fraud. The imposter syndrome kicks in. They're going to think I suck. They're going to think I'm working too slow. No, get out of your head. If you think that, go straight to the source and ask them. Ask whoever it is you feel those insecurities towards, and just go straight to the source and say, hey, how could you provide me some feedback? How am I doing? And even if you're not ready to do all that, you can just say, anytime you get a new contract, look at the contract. When are you closing? You typically have 30 days to get the job done. You definitely want to get more done in the first 7 days, first 24 hours to 7 days. And then everything else is just maintenance. But it's going to take time for you to be more efficient in this because you're brand new. So that's awesome that you are working with family as well. It helps take some of that tension and intimidation off your plate. And the fact that, you said he has like 7 years of real estate experience. Amazing. I love it. And then get to know the transaction coordinators in your community. Find them, see who they are. When you work on files, you'll introduce yourself to each other. Not all are nice, but if you spark up a conversation in a separate email, don't include it in the actual transaction correspondence, but just introduce yourself, just say, hey, I'm brand new. I would love any tips or advice you have for a new transaction coordinator, something like that, and then as you get better, you can build your own small communities and villages, right, of TCs in your neighborhood or your city or your county, right, or your state. And you guys can share tips. You can share referrals. You can cover for each other. You can cover for each other when you're on vacation. Um, just some different ways to like network and build trust among the community. Um, I have to sneeze, so I'm going to mute this real quick. Okay. Excuse me if I'm sniffling. The allergies are starting to kick up again. Yeah, so keep all of that in mind as you're starting out, or even if you're already doing this as a career. Don't sleep on the fact that the other TCs, you have access to them. Like, that's such a pro tip, in my opinion. That's something I'm grateful for, that I was able to have access to other TCs in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, because we covered for each other. If we were unsure about a certain question or something about transactions, we would ask each other, or, hey, do you have a checklist for this type of property? Or have you ever worked on this type of home? You need it. It's one thing to know TCs throughout the country, but it's much more helpful when you have TCs in your own community, your own local community, state, city, county. It really helps. Also joining the Facebook groups, and stay tuned for my private group of TCs. Stay tuned. I do use, management tools. I use TC Docs, and TC Docs helps me to manage my listings and my sales. I had to build out all of the templates and checklists and stuff like that. But once I got it all set up, once I figured it out, and set it all up and had all my templates in order after many, many tries and starting over and fixing it, that's all I use. And Google Calendar, TC Docs. I'm trying to think I'm looking at my tabs, what I have open right now. And that's about it. I personally hate Trello and Asana. It's just too many notifications. If I want to do TC work, I like it to all just be in one place, which is why I use TC Docs. Because you can create agendas in there, and you can set the default times however you want. And then if a transaction doesn't match up with those dates, you just edit it. And then it breaks down what TC Docs. And again, I am not affiliated with them. I don't get commission. They don't sponsor me. So I'm really just dropping names out of the kindness of my heart. But if anyone from TC Docs is watching and wants to work with me and pay me to say their name, call me or email me. No, but for real, it takes all of your tasks on TC Docs and I think all of the TC management platforms, but it'll break them up into tabs, like outstanding, which is like the tasks you might have missed or forgot to check off your list. Today, what is due today, and then look ahead. So it'll sort all of your files, all of your transactions, listings and sales into what is coming up. So if you finish your work early, you can work on the tasks that are due like next week. And then your completed tab. So that keeps me organized. That keeps me in check when I'm managing my files. And it's crazy because when I had a lot of transactions back in the day, the first couple of years of my business, I didn't use anything. I just started using a transaction management platform, which is why all the time I am shocked. I am shocked that I am still in business because I was doing it all wrong back in the day. I was so disorganized and messy and just committing everything to memory. I was missing dates. I'm just so fortunate each and every day. That's why I always tell people to start with gratitude. I'm so grateful that I'm still able to do this, whether it's with 2 clients or 200. You know what I mean? Like, I went through the trenches and have learned so much over the years, even with 20 years of experience. No one teaches you how to be organized. You have to embrace that yourself. So let's see. Girl like you, because you already have TC experience, being a TC, being a TC for more creative transaction might be something to look into. Of course, always continue learning. I'm enrolled in top tier TC. Is that only for TCs? TC Docs is it's for anyone that's managing a file, like a transaction file, in my opinion. But it's geared towards transaction coordinators. What is top tier TC? Let me look it up. Let's see. Let's see. I'm on the website now. So I'm on the website now. How's it going for you? Oh, okay. So it's courses. Like, do you feel like you have a better grip on being a TC through using a course? Not, you don't have to share your experience if you don't have to. This looks nice. Yeah, I just every time I think about creating a course or anything, I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone's looks so nice. I would just come on live and tell you guys everything for free. I'm still going to do that anyway. I'm looking at the website now. Participate in real world application. Yeah, I mean, the good thing about a lot of these courses is sometimes they'll come with like you join our team, or you can practice with us, and like my coach that I worked with last year and for like 2 years, when she brings on a new transaction coordinator, she doesn't just throw them into the fire. She makes them do the training that she has, and then they are required to do like practice files until they're actually ready. So I think that's a cool experience. I don't know if this is like that as well. I'm just kind of looking through it really quickly. But yeah. I don't like when people don't put the prices on their stuff. Let's see, purchase now. How much this is? Interesting. I'm always curious, and you don't have to answer this. When it comes to learning the contracts, how do they teach you if you're working with contracts in different states? Because if I were to teach a course, right? I'm also not an attorney. I do have my real estate license, but at the same time, if you're taking a course, do they just teach you like the fundamentals, what to look for in every contract? Oh, here we go. Gain understanding of critical real estate documents. This knowledge will enable you to navigate the complexities of real estate transactions, understand legal compliance, and facilitate successful deals while protecting the interests of all parties involved. Interesting. It's a lot of work to put together a course, so more power to this person, and more power to you for wanting to learn. Like, truly, that's how I learned, is seeking out the information, in any way I can give back again, I will. And some people learn better when they spend money. I know I do. Because sometimes when things are free, it's like, oh, I'll do it later. When you pay big money, you're more compelled to like do things. Because I know that's how I was when I took this business course in like 2021. Game changer. Like best, I think it was like $3,000. Best $3,000 I ever spent. So so shout out to you. But have I heard of Pace Morby? Yes. And I'm gonna be honest. I don't trust him. I've never taken a course. I've watched some of his content. It feels fake. I don't know. I'm sorry if you guys have ever worked with him. I don't know. I haven't done any like extensive research if he's SCAMing people. I don't know what words you can say on here or not, but I don't know. That's just the vibe I get. I could be completely wrong. And I know he advertises, I think he speaks to people that work in wholesaling, I think. But he also seems to kind of like monopolize that whole space. And I don't know. There's something about things that are like overly hyped, overly produced. I don't know. Just the content I've watched, he creeps me out. I don't know, like he said something about someone's race one time and the person didn't really catch it, and it just made me really uncomfortable. And I was just like, ooh. I'm just trying to see if I could find his but anyway, it might be different actually working with him. It might be different doing his courses. I don't know. I haven't ever done it. And again, if it's to be a TC for wholesaling and that's the only information available, then yeah, just keep doing, before if you have questions, just keep asking the customer service. I know it's really expensive. I think it's like $8,000 or something. And to me, I'm like, what are you spending $8,000 on? Like, unless they give you a roster of people. And again, I'm sorry if you paid for it. I don't know what it's like. I don't know. I don't think TC courses should be more than like, I don't know, $500. Like, unless it comes with business, it's hard to fully trust what's actually coming in with that. But I also know you're charging for the time you invested to create the materials, to create and hire the people to help you create the content. So you're not paying all that money for the actual courses. You're paying the person back for the time they invested to teach you. So just keep that in mind when things are kind of pricey, is you're paying them back for everything that they spent to create that course, whether it's the hosting for the website, the programs like Kajabi or something that they use to host the courses, the time on camera that they spent. Whereas like the actual course work is like worth like $400-$500. But that's also just because all of the like the research I've done and like what I've been told from like my mentors and things like that is when I'm pricing things, I have to keep in mind like you're not just charging like $90 for a coaching session. Double it so it can make up for what you're spending. So you can make up for what you're spending on paying for your Calendly, your Zoom, like all of that factors into the price of things. Yeah. Those are just my thoughts and how I felt when I first watched him. I spend weekends, not anymore, in the beginning, and if I need inspiration or motivation, I'll see I'll Google the word transaction coordinator and see who are the people talking about this, and are they real? Are they teaching the right information? And I know a lot of it's behind a paywall, so I can't verify or fact check that entirely. And I also can't be Captain Save 'em all. So I just have to trust that people can discern and make their own decisions. And my only job is to create the content for the people that need it. If I choose to put a price tag on it, I err on the side of affordability. And what I think is affordable may not be for someone. I could sell it for $1 and people would still think that was too expensive. You know what I mean? So more power to the people that are able to charge $8,000 to $10,000 for their courses, because they all also have bigger audiences, so they can do that. And it does kind of narrow down who's serious and who's not when it comes to paying that much. But at the same time, if you're just trying to learn the fundamentals, I had someone, I had a coaching call last year. Oh, this is how I decided to do more research on him. I had someone that was going to sign up for his course, and she just had one question, and I answered it for her. And she was like, I was about to spend $10,000 to have this question answered for me. And I was like, what? Who is charging $10,000 if all you needed was a simple question answered? She goes, I know, I didn't know any better. So that's where my weariness comes from, is are these companies and these trainers and these coaches and these TCs willing to at least answer the most basic questions for you, or at least have a frequently asked questions section or a customer service person to answer the questions before you make the commitment? Or is it buy or die? But if you have or decide to pursue his courses or anything, let me know how it goes, because obviously I want to root for everyone. I want to make sure everyone's being treated right and fairly. And again, it all comes down to how much is the person willing to put in the work and take action. Whether you pay $10 or $10,000 on a course, it doesn't matter. It's all on you, on how you apply it, take action. So just my thoughts. No shame in my game. And people may say the same thing about me. Who knows? I don't know. But that's not for me to worry or be concerned about. I just can only be me, the same old G. Oh my God. 2.5 hours? That went by so quick. I love it. And again, I could stay on for another couple minutes. If anyone else comes on, maybe I'll stay, but I will close it at 2 hours and 30 minutes on the dot. So we have about 2 more minutes to go. Yeah, so at 4:31 or 32, 4:32, we will end this live. Shout out to everyone that was here. Shout out to everyone that is still here. Thank you for all of your questions, Veronica, and everyone else that was here. Oh my God, you could send emojis. I just saw that. How did that happen? Hold on. What is going on here? I'm still learning. I didn't know that you could start a Q&A. You could start a poll. Anyway, I will be on live again tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but on TikTok. So if you aren't following me on TikTok, it's at Transaction Care on TikTok and IG, Facebook, X, Threads, all of them. But I will be more active on TikTok and YouTube. So please subscribe here. Follow me on TikTok. I don't know what I'm going to talk about on TikTok, but I'm just going to go on live and see what happens. I'm still new to being consistent on going live, but I love it. I am inspired. You guys are awesome. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your week. If I don't catch you on tomorrow's live, that's all good. I can't believe we're on here for 2.5 hours. That is dope. Has business due to interest rate or wait, do you mind? Wait, has business due? Wait, do you mind repeating that? Has business due to interest rate or is business good for you? Oh, thank you. You're welcome. You're very welcome. If you don't, I'll answer that question if you don't mind just retyping it. I think there may be a word missing from there. Has business do you mean like declined? Like has business declined because of interest rates? Yes and no. Business has declined because insurance, interest rates. People aren't able to get insurance, especially on condos. Or because they lack the sufficient funds. People don't want to insure them because of the liabilities of the homes. Or people are asking for too much money when they sell their homes and they're not selling it based on the comps. They just think it's like a sense of entitlement in a way, which they absolutely are entitled to, selling their homes at the highest rate possible. But in this market right now, today, you have to lowball it a little bit in order to be competitive or even mentioned. There's a house next to me that's been open for the last 2 months. I see that sign or I'll hear it fall down because of the wind. So there's no telling what's happening. I would say it's a combination. So I hope that helps, but I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys. If you do have any questions, go ahead and email me, tc@transactioncare. Drop a comment on this live. But I'm easy to access. Appreciate all of you. Have a great rest of your day. Talk soon. And this was so much fun. So much fun. I love it. It didn't even feel like 2.5 hours. So see you guys.